When I was in the seminary, I remember being asked by one of the professors, I think it was a group of us who were asked this, what will be an aspect of church teaching that you're looking forward to teaching about, sharing about? And I was like, the church is teaching on sexuality because it's beautiful, challenging, beautiful, and true. July 23rd to the 29th is Natural Family Planning Awareness Week, and it's a national campaign sponsored by the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops. And the dates of Natural Family Planning Awareness Week highlight the anniversary of Pope St. Paul VI, July 25th, 1968, papal encyclical Humanae Vitae, of human life in English, which articulates Catholic beliefs about human sexuality, conjugal love, and responsible parenthood. And so today I'm going to share a little bit about NFP from a Catholic perspective. And since I don't have much knowledge of it, I chose to solicit information from parishioners, anonymous parishioners, who use NFP and what they have to share about it. And also I'm going to define it to begin with. And then I'm going to just give a little bit of the teaching of the church after that. I think it's good to begin with real life, with our parishioners, those anonymously who shared about their experience with NFP. First of all, just a simple definition, NFP is a method of achieving or avoiding pregnancy by observing the changes in a woman's body that indicate her fertility. And studies have shown that unlike couples using other forms of contraceptions, couples who practice NFP have a divorce rate under 3%. That would seem to be significant in our society. Why would they have divorce rates so low? Well, I think some of the information that I gathered from parishioners who practice NFP give us some indications. And so I broke down, I got 6 or so responses from different couples, and I broke down what they gave me into 3 parts, 3 reasons, maybe why NFP couples, practicing couples, have a divorce rate lower than 3%. The first reason is increased communication and intimacy. The second reason is the natural reality of NFP. And the third reason is that it requires discipline and training. And so let us begin with the first. It increases communication and intimacy. Anybody who's married knows that communication is like fundamental, foundational, the primary reality in relationships, and NFP increases it. So, the first 3 responses I got from some of the parishioners included communication, how NFP helped them in their communication. One said simply, we communicate better. Another says it built up our communication and helped our marriage bond to be more special. A third said it helped our marriage by building up our communication and prayer life in God and His plans for our family. And then in a little piece of literature that I was using as I was preparing the homily, one woman noted the benefits of NFP once she switched from contraception, simply exclaiming, I now know the true meaning of the word intimacy now that I am using NFP. And so NFP increases communication and intimacy in marriage. Number 2, NFP is natural. One woman who gave some information about this said that it helped in her marriage because it's natural and it doesn't put anything artificial in her body. Another person said there were no chemicals, there's no hormones, there's no unwanted side effects. And a third said it helps a woman to be in touch with her body. She said it is an incredible tool for a female, from a female perspective, to know the truth of what her body is speaking. Is she stressed out? Her body declares it. Is she eating well? Her body will show it. Are her hormones out of balance? Her body will reveal it. It's an incredible tool to build your dream of family life, whether waiting to start a family, to space out your beautiful babies, to help diagnose issues you're struggling with as you want to get pregnant or stay pregnant. It can help shed light on reasons for premature births and miscarriages. It's extraordinary. So the second reason is that it is natural. The third reason is it requires discipline and training. That sounds like the Christian life, doesn't it? It requires discipline to be a Christian. It requires training to be a Christian. One said regarding discipline and training, it's important to remember that it's a journey using NFP. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's a really hard cross, especially when you're first married. Another said, we learned how to practice self-control and self-discipline, and we could pass these most valuable lessons on to our children. We know how we desire our children to learn those great lessons of discipline and self-control. Another said, following the woman's cycle was not hard after receiving training for NFP. And another said, as far as method goes, an instructor and a friend to support you is a huge resource in order to stay committed and accountable. It requires discipline. It's not something that you just half-heartedly do. Another said, at the heart of every woman is a desire to be adored and fought for, that she is worth the wait and the fight from her husband. NFP preserves that dynamic in a married relationship. It preserves the passion. So that's from our people in the pew anonymously, our married couples. What does the Catholic Church teach about marriage and about children and about sexuality? The Church teaches that there are two ends to marriage. As simply put by one author, bonding and babies, the B and the B. Bonding and the babies, that's what marriage is about. In the Catechism of the Catholic Church in 2363, it states, the spouse's union achieves the twofold end of marriage, the good of the spouses themselves, number one, and the transmission of life. These two meanings or values of marriage cannot be separated without altering the couple's spiritual life and compromising the good of marriage and the future of the family. The Catechism of the Catholic Church also says that for just reasons, spouses may wish to space their children. It is their duty to make certain that their desire is not motivated by selfishness, but is in conformity with the generosity appropriate to responsible parenthood. And so that is a question that does come up. How many children does a family need to have? And of course, that's between them and God. It's a very personal, hopefully discerned perspective of how many children that they can have. But we never judge because we never know the situations of marriages. And so the Church calls married couples to be generous in accepting the gift of life from God, but also to use their reason according to what their ability is, what their psychological, what their physical, what their financial ability is. But then, of course, we do need to add another piece that comes in our society where I was thinking about it recently that, not to say that we had it tough, but I remember growing up and there were 4 of us boys and we each shared a bedroom that was quite small. And then Mom and Dad shared a bedroom. We had 3 bedrooms. And now I kind of look around and I see that people have bigger homes and less children. And so you're kind of, and I'm not saying that about anyone specifically, but I think we can see that. And so we have to say, how does this work? You know, having a big home, okay, that could be okay. And having just a few children, maybe it's better to have more children and have a smaller home. Is that maybe a point that we have to look at in our society? And also, in our society, there's been a turn away. I remember being in college and the fear of overpopulation and how it was put out there and how we really need to think about whether we should have children. And if we have children, not to have too many children because the good of the planet. But then, have we forgotten what God said? Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Certainly we need to use our reason, which God has given us. And that's where NFP comes in. And NFP says that husband and wife, in communion with God, that important communication, discern what God is calling them to do. And so I'm going on to what the USCCB says, the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops says about children. It says that they are a gift. Children are a gift. And it's really important to oppose that to a right. Children, we don't have a right to children. They're God's children. Even when they're our children, they're God's children. And he gives them to us as a gift. And so they're a gift. The USCCB says that children are really the supreme gift of marriage and contribute very substantially to the welfare of their parents. The God himself who said it is not good for man to be alone, and who made man from the beginning male and female, wishing to share with man a certain special participation in his own creative work, blessed male and female, saying, increase and multiply. Hence, while not making the other purposes of matrimony of less account, the true practice of conjugal love and the whole meaning of the family life which results from it have this aim, that the couple be ready with stout hearts, because it's not easy, to cooperate with the love of the Creator and Savior, who through them will enlarge and enrich in their own day a family day by day. You know, we might think that the effectiveness of NFP is just held by those who are religious, but I happened to find a September 18th, a little bit old, 1993 article in the National Library of Medicine addressing the effectiveness of NFP to contraception. And I'm going to read here as they're comparing the two. The author said, increasingly studies show that rates equivalent to those of other contraceptive methods are readily achieved through NFP in developed and developing worlds. Indeed, a study of 19,843 poor women in India had a pregnancy rate approaching 0. Natural family planning is cheap, effective, without side effects, and may be particularly acceptable to the efficaciousness among areas of poverty. And that's from a secular news journal. And so, this kind of a homily can be difficult to hear, especially if we don't have many children or we wanted to have more children, we couldn't have children, or if maybe because maybe a priest told us that, well, you know, you can use contraception. Priests did say that. As a matter of fact, this is the anniversary, as I said, of Humanae Vitae back in 1968, and there was open dissent when that encyclical came out. But Pope Paul VI was prophetic, and he continued on with the Church's teaching that artificial contraception is never right. So, someone might say, why didn't I hear about this before? Why did no one talk about this? Why wasn't I taught this so that I could have more children? And we may feel guilty about this reality. As a matter of fact, someone of the parishioners who I solicited information from said, in talking to parents, they said they never regretted having a child, but some shared that they looked back and are sorry that they weren't open to having more children. So openness to life is important. I can say to those who may be struggling with this reality because of how they understood it in the past, God can bring good out of everything. That's what we believe as Christians. Certainly we love the children that we have. We love the grandchildren that we have. And another thing, if we maybe weren't able to have a lot of children, or maybe we didn't because we were in society and that's what society was saying, love other children. Love other children. There's so many children who need an adopted grandma, an adopted parent. I'm thinking of a parent who has maybe 3 or 4 children themselves, and they kind of somewhat adopted another child. So many children need a good father, a good mother, even if a spiritual father or a spiritual mother, even if kind of at a distance because they're more adoptive and not even the strict sense of being adopted. So love other children and love parents with children. Love single parents with children. They need our love. They're out there. If you'd like more information, at the bell tower entrance after Mass, there will be some of our parishioners there, and they'll have some information and some resources on NFP. It really is good news. NFP is good news. And I would say if you struggle with it, look at your church's teaching about it. It's really important for us, as Catholics, not to say, well, I disagree with that and I'll set it off to the side. We can disagree with things, but let's be informed about it. So you can go on the internet and find all kinds of good information from a good Catholic source, and you can learn about NFP if you struggle with it. I'm going to end with one quote. It One of the people who responded from our parish said, NFP has been an integral part of our marriage. It has helped us to space our children while keeping God at the center of the most intimate and sacred part of our marriage.